Following video is going to make what happened on October 17th, 2016 look like, well, what it was. Somebody who wasn't thinking, getting tricked by somebody who was smooth with words. However, the story I'm about to tell you tonight is 100% true. And it's a story of deception, of trickery, and impersonation. And above all else, I want this video to function as a warning. A warning to be careful, especially with people you meet online, as not everybody, I'm afraid, can be trusted. Welcome to Trade Scammed Part 2. And I know what you're thinking. You fell for the same thing twice? No. But the story is nonetheless nerve-wracking, as this can happen to anybody, and it happens more common than any of us would hope. The story I'm going to tell you takes place late January of this year. A few weeks prior, I had received a friend request from a Steam user known as Cheddar. I didn't know much about this person, but honestly, they played games that I was interested in. They had a lot of hours in TF2, a lot of hours in CSGO, and a handful in Dota as well. They even played Subnautica. So, I was interested in potentially becoming friends with this person over time, but I wasn't really interested in like an instantaneous relationship, so I just added the friend request and hoped to, chat later. Well, I didn't hear anything from this person for several weeks, right? I accepted the friend request, the person was in my friends list for several weeks, and then I received a message from him, or I should say them, because I don't know who they are. But I received a message from them several weeks later saying, I need to tell you something. When that's the first thing you ever get from somebody, you know you're in for a doozy. So I respond, okay, what's going on? Responds, I may have accidentally reported you for duplicating items, and your account may be banned. Well, he's been very apologetic. He's apologized several times in between these long sentences and nearly paragraphs of messages. And of course I was concerned, like, okay, he reported me and apparently somebody at Valve is actually looking at it. Okay, I'm sure I can clear this up. Said, I didn't want to hold this against the guy because if this was a misclicker, he assumed that I was somebody else. Maybe he reported a hacker in-game that had a name sort of similar to mine. And so he assumed that I was the hacker, or person who was, causing trouble. So, of course, if it was a mistake, of course I'm going to forgive the guy, and it's a mistake. Probably misread something. So I said, it's all good, man. Do you have any way to contact Valve, or how far is this being looked into? And he said that he was talking to a person from Valve, right? That's when he was direct messaging him on Steam. I mean, I knew that the Valve employees had Steam accounts, of course, and of course had their Valve moderation or whatever, capabilities on Steam. And of course, they had special accounts and whatnot. So I really didn't think that much of it at first. So he sends me a link to the person's profile, named Miss Elizabeth, and he tells me to add her as a friend, referring to her as a her because her name is Elizabeth, or a name that has been provided as Miss Elizabeth. So I add the friend, but then I go over to my Discord chat I have my Discord server, and then I have a private little group of just a handful of friends. I go over to that group of trusted individuals, and I share with them what's going on. By this time, I'd actually started receiving messages from Elizabeth, and she showed a little GIF of her on my profile, looking through like extra names, looking at my comments, and then hovering over a ban button. Which then she opened up, and there was like a little thing with the duration of the ban, where it said permanent. And offense, duplicating items. Well, I have no clue how to duplicate items in literally any game. So, I could not have done such an act. And even if I knew how to, I wouldn't have, because I feel like that's morally wrong. So, I explained to her I did not do this. This was not me. I'm afraid you might have the wrong person. And she responds, you do realize that, this is an offense that could get you permanently banned on Steam. I said, yes, I do. I can assure you, and I have proof, that it wasn't me. So, meanwhile, back over on the Discord, one of my friends, who's actually appeared in several videos, but we're not gonna, But my friend had actually done some research on trade.tf, or not trade.tf, but rep, on Steam rep, or whatever it's called. I'm sorry, my brain's sort of drawing blanks on website names. Forgive me. But apparently this person had been Cheddar. He had done some research on Cheddar. And as it turns out, Cheddar has a bit of a history himself. And this was sort of concerning. This was my first really major red flag. But I still sort of was thinking along. Right? And, Steam reps, or Valve representatives, they are still people, so they can easily be tricked as well. So, I'm just thinking, well, perhaps this guy just has this Valve person on a little bit of on a leash here, sort of just tugging him along to lead them to ban me or whatever, or that led them to the scenario they're in now. And it's sort of making me think, well, maybe he reported the person because the person, I don't know, was calling him out, so he reported the person for whatever to try to get him off his tail. I don't know what the motives might have been in that situation. But the conversation with the quote-unquote Valve rep went on for a bit. About how serious it was to duplicate items and why I should never do it, and why it would be a considerable offense if I did. And of course, I knew such. I wouldn't do such of a thing. So, eventually, she brings up the potential, quote-unquote, duped items. She said she was going to do some, quote-unquote, extensive scans on my Steam inventory and see if by any chance that I had duped items. After a few minutes, she texts me back saying, I need you to send. And this is where the major red flag hit. She named off items that were specifically, had some monetary value in my Steam inventory, specifically my TF2 inventory. And typically when somebody starts naming off expensive items, that's what they're after. That's what happened with the knife, is because it was supposed to be a trade, but he wanted me to send through some stuff first to make sure it would work, right? Well, this is sort of what was going on here, just instead of a trade, this time it was checking to make sure these items aren't duped, and specifically the mention of 3 items that I had that were specifically, worth something. That was the biggest red flag, saying, okay, this person is probably trying to steal my items. So at this point, I just ignore the conversation from here. She responds saying, if you do not respond within 2 minutes, your account will be banned. So, I didn't say this to her because, honestly, at this point I was sort of done with the whole conversation between the two of them. That I was internally saying, so be it. If you are actually Valve, go ahead and ban me. But if you are not, which you aren't, you can't do squat. And obviously, I did not get banned. Because, well, this was a scam. Or at least an attempted one. And at first, this was much more clever, okay, than my previous one. Previously, I was just stupid and I wasn't checking for red flags. I wasn't looking for any obvious signs that I could be being swindled into a deal that I wouldn't like. Or, you know, being outright lied to. I wasn't looking for that because I still had a sort of positive worldview that, oh, everyone's a good person. Nobody's bad or whatever. Nobody would trick me because, you know, the people I talk to are nice. But over time, right, I've developed more of a lens to sort of look into things. But at first, nothing was really triggering the red flags. And this was creative. This was far smarter than my previous one. Because they played off of my naivety last time. This time, they played off of fear. Fear that my account could be terminated because of an offense I did not commit. And that was what was really the driving force of what would actually get me swindled out of my stuff. Because I was afraid of potential consequence if I did not comply with what they wanted. Which, of course, you know, it was a scam in the end. But it could have worked if I didn't start piecing stuff together and if my friend did not do a bit of research on the people accusing me. So I just want to thank Wonk for his help with this situation. But this, of course, a bit of a resolution to this. I reported both Cheddar and Miss Elizabeth for attempting to steal items and for impersonation of a Valve representative. I haven't heard anything back of what happened next, but I hope they've been banned. I hope. If not, then just keep your eyes open for these potential scammers. And I know, as a fact, that these two individuals aren't the only ones out there. Which leads into the second part of this video. A warning. Guys, above all else, be incredibly careful with who you trust and who you accept as a friend on Steam or anywhere else. Especially when an inventory of digital items, which are actually worth real-life monetary value, or have real-life monetary value, when that's involved. Be careful. I'm not saying going into the whole trust nobody mentality where you're scared to talk to people, because that mentality gets you nowhere. In fact, it just makes you paranoid of everybody, even your real friends. So do not interpret me saying be cautious as me saying trust no one. But keep your friends close, your enemies closer. And determine and find people who you can consider trustworthy. So, above all else, be careful. If somebody who you do not know approaches you and greets you with something like Cheddar did, have your lens of truth equipped and be on your highest alert. So I hope that this video, like I said, this video is above all else a warning of what to look out for. Be careful. while I do not get scammed, I know there'd be plenty of people out there who would fall victim to fear, and who would be actually afraid of losing their account. So, do not trust random strangers on the internet who tell you that your account's going to be banned. Because more than likely, it's just an elaborate attempt to scam you out of your items. Or something else, I don't know. Personal information, passwords, whatever. Be careful. So, thank you for watching this video, guys. Or, I guess I should actually say more of a what you should do. If you ever encounter a scammer or somebody who behaves like this, or somebody who's impersonating somebody who they're not, I get that there's plenty of like fan accounts online for like Markiplier or famous YouTubers. I get that, and I'm not saying we should always just go after the people who are using YouTubers' names. Honestly, there's somebody else named Maxis the Beast out there, which I'm more than sure I'm pretty sure somewhere out there is a Maxis the Beast. I'm fine with it, as long as they don't try to correlate with me, you know? If they're not geeks, Maxis the Beast, you know? Like the spy here. But I'm not saying go after fan accounts or stuff like that. But I am saying is if somebody is faking being Valve and is abusing their powers with Valve, report them. If you receive friend requests from people who you don't know, and they instantly start asking for items or asking about trading, I'm not saying, oh, don't trade with people, or don't, and I understand that there are like trade servers in CSGO and TF2, where people specifically go on there to trade with other users. I understand that. But I'm saying, if you receive a friend request out of the blue and the first thing they do is start talking about trading, I'm just saying, be careful. Do extensive research on various websites that can check players' reputation on Steam. Do your research before you start making deals, okay? Those are steps you can take. And if somebody appears to be shady and is doing some stuff that's questionable or has a lot of negative rep on their profile saying rep bad trader or rep scammer, then you know what to be careful and what to avoid. And also who to report. So steps that you can take would be to report sketchy accounts and to do your research. And if you actually have contact with actual people at Valve and you see somebody impersonating this specific Valve representative or whatever, talk to the Valve rep and make sure it's not actually, you know, the person. Make sure that you're not actually in trouble. And more importantly, tell people about it. Do not remain silent. Talk to people. That's how I sort of got my start on YouTube, is because I decided to make my voice heard and say, hey, I've been scammed by this individual, please look into this. While I doubt anybody actually listened, it was still important of me to say something, to speak up. And I would encourage you to do the same. And I mean, look what that single video did for me. I'm now sitting here with a channel with 50 subscribers, which is a lot farther than I thought I would ever get at the start of my career. So thank you guys for your support. But more importantly, I hope that this video served its purpose. That you have learned some precautionary steps and what to avoid, and that hopefully my story of potential tragedy could help benefit you in the long run. Could help, you know, could help you with your own situations. If you ever encounter something similar to mine, you can think back, hey, Maxis the Beast encountered this. and you would know how to respond in this situation. So, I know not every story like this is going to have a happy ending where somebody is going to lose their items, or somebody would end up losing their items, or something like that happens. I know every story cannot have a happy ending. But with awareness being spread, and stories being told, I see a future on Steam and online where these types of scams occur at least a bit less frequent. So guys, I know this was definitely a bit, not even a bit, it was definitely more serious than a lot of my other videos, because this is a serious topic. And I realized I didn't even do my Hey What's Going On Geeks. So, hey, what's going on, geeks? This is late in the video, but Max of the Beast is here. But I hope that you were able to find use for this video, that this was, like I said, able to help you in your own personal situations. And guys, like I said, be careful. Guys, thank you again. I would like to take this time to thank you for your support on my channel. The last video I released, the Radical Heights one, has gotten over 60 views in almost a week, which is absolutely incredible. So, thank you so much for your support on that last video. And the comments! The comment section has been going crazy. I've had several sort of conversations with people, and you guys are awesome. So, thank you guys for your support on that last video. And overall, thank you for your support on my channel. We're at 50 geeks, and we're doing pretty good. So, thank you guys for your support. So, with that being said, thank you for watching this video. Hope it helped. And as always, Max of the Beast is out.